sure. Thank you.
I really didn't hear all of what the gentleman said. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Andrews, we can't hear you.
Can't hear me at all?
No, it's
No.
very, very low. Can you move closer to the microphone, please? Thank you.
Okay. So let me
That's
start.
better.
Yeah, you should probably start it over.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The first thing I did was greet Dr. Colbert. Hi, Dr. Colbert.
Hi, sir.
I'm one of her patients, and um, they've expanded their practice to another area that is kind of,
Speak in the microphone, Mr. Andrews. You were good at first.
I think it went out.
Can he sit in my seat?
I was saying that I am a patient of Dr. Colbert's practice, and they've expanded and opened another office in an area that needs some local or neighborhood kind of medical access. And I commend her for that, and I'm hoping that other businesses will kind of copy that model and also support our community as they're able to and when they're able to. That was it.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Can I mention that there's also, I have a radio program, and I always like to mention it because for anybody, it's every third Saturday on WDAO. It's called Healthy Living. And every month I have another expert with myself on there, and we provide some really valuable information to the community. People can go through the website, WDAL's website, and listen, or they can look on my Facebook and type in questions. But it's a really good opportunity to hear information, health information that's occurring across the city. So even when COVID first came, I had the gentleman from public health. So I always get, experts from this community, and you'll get firsthand health information on healthy living every third Saturday of the month on WDAL.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Colbert. That's good information to have, especially to tap into your social media presence. Even when I think about like the childhood obesity issue that you mentioned and the mental health issue, that's really a great resource for us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Mhm.
Thank you so much for coming.
Hey, Myra, I
Yes.
have my hand on.
Oh, I didn't see it. I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the information along the lines of what you're doing with the COVID testing for our students and the community. That's huge. It's important for folks to know that they can go to somewhere local and have that done. Additionally, the childhood obesity, that has been a real challenge for many students and families. So just getting that information out is very, very important. So I just want to say I appreciate the information and thank you for sharing.
Thank you, and thank you for the invite and allow me to come and through this media and share information about the practice and what we're doing.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let me get me these on. I can't, so I can read all of this on the consent agenda, which is next. We have several items that we need to look at. First is A, approval of minutes of March 4th, 2021, March 11th, 2021, March 18th, 2021, and March 27th, 2021. Item B is approval of Westward LLC contract for Medicaid billing. Item C is a then and now certificate for Catapult Learning. Item D is approval of amendment to PNC Commercial Card Program Authorizations Agreement. Item E is approval of Meta Solutions Master Service Agreement for school year 2021 through 22. Item F is the approval of in lieu of transportation payments. And item G is approval to allow Southwestern Ohio Educational Purchasing Council to solicit public bids for the 2020 through 2021 school year. I would need a motion for that.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions or anything that needs to be brought out of our consent agenda? Hearing none, Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Scares?
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman? Yes. Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
And Mrs. Bozeman?
Yes, motion passes. Next, we have the treasurer's report. Ms. Allen?
Yes, I have financial reports to present to you this evening, and 3 different ones. We did have a finance committee meeting with Mr. Scares and Mrs. Jeter Freeman today at 4:30. And so there are several checks that I did pull, and I will review them when I get to that. The first schedule is the cash reconciliation for the month of March. PNC general account $1,625,549.47. The total investments $31,681,789.32. That total $33,307,338.79. We have outstanding checks of $483,385.98, and there are no adjustments. I haven't seen that in a while. So subtracting those adjustments, the adjusted bank balance then would be $32,823,952.81, and that does a balance to the penny with what is on the financial meta system. The second report is we call an SM2, or our annual spending plan, and it includes your revenue and your expenditures for the month of March and from July through March, which is fiscal year-to-date actual. And so our revenues for the month of March totaled $2.9 million. Expenditures were $3.1, so there was an excess of expenditures over revenue in the amount of $235,513. But fiscal year to date, we are in the black for in the amount of $176,968. So that is something that we rarely see, but I think that's attributed to the reduced expenditure or the chargebacks from the COVID dollars that we did not have to pay out of general fund. The next report is checks over $1,000. So the finance committee members did have me to pull, I think, about 8 checks, and I wanted to go through these checks as I pulled them. The first question was check 96219 in the amount of $1,122, and it was made out to Dayton Sports Complex, and it was for indoor athletic practices for football, baseball, and softball. Check 96141 in the amount of $1,400 was made out to Innovations and Education, and this was for registration for the MTSS conference, and the registration is for Suzanne Banton, Cherie Bryant, Janelle Love Allen, and Tracy Mallory. The next check that I pulled was 96171. It was made out to School Specialty in the amount of $2,090.12. And this is school supplies for the school year 2020, and these are all classroom supplies. It says school supply order needed for student return to school for COVID reopening plan. And specifics, dry erases and pencils and colored cardstock and scissors and so forth. Check number 96239, and it was made out to Restorative Justice Arts, LLC, and this was for music education in the amount of $4,800, and this was for music education technology. Class session scheduled November 2020, April 2021, and it just says music ed app usage. The next check is check number 96250, and this was made out to Chaminade Julian Catholic High School, and this in the amount of $4,968, and it says reimbursement for journeymen. So reimbursement, and this was from Fund 507. So reimbursement for journeyman productions for Chaminade Julian Catholic High School, and Fund 507 is the ESSER 1 monies. And so those non-publics do get some funds, non-public school funds, but it flows through our district. Check number 96111 is to Montgomery County Juvenile Court, and this is tuition for special education students and regular education students. And I think the question was, what is the price per day? And this is just invoice amount, so it just says service period November 2020. It doesn't say the total period. Well, this one does, like 5 days, $450. So that's $90 per day.
And it was
For
how
this
many
one.
students?
This one was just for one student. So there's
Oh,
several invoices within this packet, but for the one student, it was $450. And let me see if that's consistent. No. So this says Center for Adolescent Services, school tuition, the period November 2020, $32.40. It is $90 per day. There's 2 students on here, and it was 18 days for each, and it was $90 per day. So I think the question was how much per day, and we're paying $90 per day for Montgomery County Juvenile Court. Did that, Mrs. Julia Freeman, did that answer your question? Or I
It
can
does.
send this info, I'm sorry.
So it's 2 students, and the cost for those 2 students is $5,580?
No, there's a whole lot of students in this packet.
Okay,
So that was just some examples that I gave you.
right.
Yeah, but there's more than 1 or 2. There's many more students in this
Right.
invoice.
And I think it was I was curious as to how many students, especially during the pandemic, do we
So-
have that are being sent down there?
So I can add, okay, there's 1,
And-
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I see 9 individual
Okay.
names on here, and then there are costs for, a total cost for, it says it doesn't have a student's name, it just says detention school tuition, J-Care art program.
Okay, thank
So
you.
we can pull this aside and we can get you more information if you like.
I think that's good.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did, thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Check number 96180, City of Trotwood, and it was for water sewer for the district, and that total was $20,962.30, so that was water and sewer charges. And then the last one was 96115, check number in the amount of $32,000 to University of Dayton, and that's the contract for the school counselor. This, and that's Mother Bruner's contract, so this is Fund 401, yes. This is Mother Bruner, okay? So that was all that I had, and I asked for a motion to approve.
Okay. So she is asking for action, so we do need a
Yes.
motion
Yes.
for the approval of the March 2021 financials.
I'll move.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any other discussion or questions about the financials for March? Hearing none, Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes,
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Scarce?
Yes.
And Mrs. Bozeman?
Yes, motion carries. Now we have the superintendent's report. So first up is item A, the Franklin B. Walter Scholarship recipient.
Okay, so right now, as we're having this meeting, they're doing a celebration for all of the Walter B. Franklin scholarship recipients. And since we were having a meeting and unable to attend, I wanted you to see the video that they will be showing there to show our student, who is Quaylen Kirk. And he was able to select a person that made a difference in his life, and he selected Maya Haig. So we're gonna run that video. It's just a, short thing.
Congratulations to all awardees and teachers of influence. It is my pleasure to present Trotwood-Madison High School's Franklin B. Walter recipient, Quaylen Kirk. Quaylen is an honor roll student who participates in athletics and community service projects and is a respected role model among staff and students. Additionally, Quaylen provides mentoring through the youth ministry program at his church. This scholarship will help Quaylen become the first male in his family to receive a college degree. Quaylen's teacher of influence is Mrs. Maya Haig. Mrs. Haig took Quaylen to his first college fair, expanding his vision for the future. She taught him that with hard work, anything is possible. Quaylen, it's your turn.
Hello, I am Quaylen Kirk, and I was planning to be attending the Wilmington College in Wilmington, Ohio. I aspire to major in sports management. One thing I would like to share about my teacher of influence is that she always pushed me to do my best. She also was like my motivation away from home. For this reason, I would like to thank Ms. Haig and many others.
Thank you, Quaylen. It's an honor and privilege to accept this recognition, and I'm so glad that you are going to college, and I thank you.
And they will receive a monetary gift, and I understand it was a couple of other gifts inside the little gift bag that they received. So since we couldn't be there, I thought this would be a nice way to,
Nice.
to acknowledge that. Okay, next on my list is the approval of Spectra flooring contracts. This is for action, so I wanted to just let you know that Spectra is a state contract that the Ohio Department of Administrative Services gathers the vendors. They will approve them, and then they send them to bid on a job. We selected Spectra because they were able to meet our timeline.
Okay. So this is for action, so I do need a motion for the approval of Spectra flooring contracts.
I'll move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any discussions or questions about the Spectra flooring contract?
Am I safe to assume that this was part of Marlon's presentation from Monday,
Yes,
and that this is ESSER funded?
yes.
Any other questions or comments about Spectra flooring?
So this is for the replacement of carpet?
Yes, it will be replaced with tile in these ones that are mentioned here. In this particular contract, it's the middle school and the early learning center.
Okay. What about the other buildings? I know that I thought that there were other buildings that needed carpet replacement at some point, and Marlon wanted to bundle them together. So even if we didn't do all of them now, we would have the money set aside for future replacement.
Yes, this contract is just a portion of what he had asked for when he made the presentation before. So we will continue to do the spectrum up to the amount of $600,000 is what he has set aside to do all of the flooring.
So you
Okay.
you are correct that there is
$650,000,
more to come. Yes,
correct?
there's more to come.
Okay, it's 650 altogether, correct?
Let me confirm what he has.
And I'm sorry, I couldn't open up the contract. What is this portion of the cost? I'm sure it's in the contract.
I'll share that. What he has on our sheet for Spectra flooring in a 2-year period is $600,000. And on this, he has $162,675 and $66,085. So I can quickly add that up. Janice, you got your calculator? I'm getting my calculator.
No worries.
Okay, so it's approximately, I would say, 225,000 at this point, approximately.
So it sounds as if he prioritized, and these are the two buildings that are in the most need from the original, I guess, proposal, correct?
He does have the others still on his list, so I'm sure he will be coming back. Again, this is for the middle school and early learning center, but on his ESSER2 funding proposal, he also has Westbrook Village, Madison Park as well. So they're to be
Okay.
done in 2022. This one is for now 2021. So he's carrying
Thank
it
you.
over 2 years.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the information.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Judah Freeman,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Ms. Moore. Ms.
Yes.
Mr. Scarce,
No.
and Mrs. Bozeman.
Yes, motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the technology upgrade projects.
Okay, and this is for action as well. I think Marlon did talk about it before.
There is an attachment also about the replacement of the Chromebooks and the desktops.
I can expand on it a little if you would like.
Sure.
Okay. Marlon has said attached are the 3 selected vendors and quotes for 3 technology upgrade projects: student Chromebook replacements in grades 6 through 12, teacher Chromebook and desktop replacements, and student lab upgrades at the Early Learning Center, Madison Park, and Westbrook Elementary are the designated items for purchase to ensure our staff and students continue to have the most modern and up-to-date resources for teaching and learning in the 21st century.
Okay. So I need a motion for the approval of the technology upgrade projects.
I'll move.
I have a motion. We need a second.
I will second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion or questions about that?
Just a question. Does this include technology or what we think will be needed for the Virtual Learning Academy?
I do not believe so. Not in this money. We will be using ESSER money to do that, but this is for these specific upgrades.
And the only reason I ask is it kind of goes back to my statement about intentionality about the Virtual Learning Academy. If we're buying laptops and it's our intention to make the investment into the Virtual Learning Academy, then we might as well go ahead and buy what we think is necessary for what we'll need in that regard. While the money is available, without having to, at some point in time, dip into general fund.
Right. We do plan to use ESSER money for that. One thing about technology, as I'm sure you all know, is that it just constantly upgrades and changes. And so right now, we're going to talk about the Virtual Academy plan for the upcoming year, and that's based on the conversation that we had at our retreat when we realized we didn't want to rush into, doing our very own virtual learning academy. So with that in mind, we do have a proposal that we're going to talk to you about for the upcoming year for virtual academy, and then we would start purchasing things on our own. So a year in technology makes a big difference, and we want to have the most up-to-date technology that we can when we do go out on our own to do this.
Are there any other questions or comments about the approval of technology upgrades? Hearing none, Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Scares,
Yes.
and Mrs. Bozeman.
Yes, motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the personnel agenda.
This is for action. There are no changes from when we went over this at the last meeting.
Okay, well. I need a motion for the approval of the personnel agenda.
So moved.
I need a second.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion or questions about the personnel agenda? No discussion about the personnel agenda? Hearing none, Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
She's on mute, maybe.
Mr. Scares,
Yes.
and Mrs. Bozeman.
Yes, motion carries. Moving on to
That's
discussion.
a yes, I'm sorry.
Moving on to discussion items. First, we have the Sr2 Expenditures Item 7A.
Okay, based on some of the conversation that we had at our last meeting, we've made a few changes to the document that you should have in front of you. It says Sr2 funding proposal, proposed funding needs for 2020-21. We have our curriculum information. I don't think anything has changed, but I would like to would you mind coming up, Lisa, and talking about the virtual academy? Just want to highlight some of the things that I know there were, maybe some questions about.
So she's talking about the virtual academy or the summer program?
Virtual.
Right, the
Okay.
summer virtual,
Okay, okay.
the summer virtual.
Summer virtual.
Not, well, no, this is the virtual, this one.
You want me to talk about summer programming or
Oh, okay. One thing we've been doing is, as we're researching the best way to introduce and to implement the virtual academy, is we thought about the timeline that we have. So we've been researching companies that are experts in that and work with districts on either consulting on the best way to develop and implement their own virtual academy or provide services. And so we're in the talks with Future Ed, which you have a handout here, programs at a glance. And knowing that we wanted a comprehensive quality virtual learning program, they can provide many of.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I just want to make sure I'm following. So we're on 7A, right?
Yes, because this is,
So where's the attachment that you're looking at?
this right here.
Yeah,
I don't know
We
if
don't
it was
have-
attached.
Oh,
okay.
Would you like to see it?
Yes, ma'am. So we don't have this?
We can
what
get
is
it to you.
attached? I
this is what you're talking about right now, right?
Yeah, and I'm just gonna do a summary. What this is a brochure from a company that is proposing to, for 1 year, run a virtual academy for us for a small fee with our platforms and a lot of the programming and online learning features that was popular with our blended learning. They work with districts throughout the state. We're still in talks with them and really researching their success with other districts, but this would be an option where we could roll out a virtual learning without the complexities of having to put together the full staffing and programming within a few months because it's time sensitive. So this is something that we're considering. We do have some other follow-up meetings to confirm some of it. He has agreed to help with marketing, promoting. He's even researched, as he works with other districts, he's in touch with the state to help us with listings of our potential customers or new students that we could bring into the district that are currently with some of the competing online academies and charter schools. And again, you can see through the handout, he handles everything from K-5 education to college credit plus, career tech, high school, a variety of services. But he would customize it for what we would want. And this is something that we're researching now and still analyzing his services. We've got another follow-up meeting tomorrow. This would, we would still make a substantial profit based on the per student, the funding that we receive per student with a targeted group of about 200 students. The district would still bring in a substantial profit with his the way he charges.
So can we,
Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
I guess my first question is, I know you were talking a little bit about it last time, and we were talking about, I guess for that fee, they provide the teachers, and I think one of the things you were gonna check into was whether or not it would be a Trotwood-Madison diploma.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's something you're gonna ask tomorrow.
Yeah, yes, thank you for bringing that up. It would be our Rams Academy.
Okay,
It will be our students linked to our schools. So the principals will be, they would just have a population of kids on the virtual academy and then our face-to-face students.
okay, so
So
it
it'll
would
be
be,
a full Trotwood diploma. And that's a good point because we've been, he's done a lot of research on what attracts, working with other districts, what attracts students to switch from their online academy to the school academy. And with the older kids, the number one reason is wanting that local school diploma. So that's a good, carrot. He gave us sample letters to kind of really advertise and promote kids to come into Trotwood and all types of resources that he does for other districts.
And he also pointed out that these students would still be, of course, have access, we would allow that, and they encourage it to our specials, our sports. They are still Trotwood students in this particular situation. That's what made this one we wanted to continue to look at.
I'm completely sold out for the virtual academy. I'm just really, really concerned that, because we've never done this particular thing before, I want us to have enough time to do it with as much of a spirit of excellence as possible. And even though, the new school year is only a few months away, I still feel like we have not done what is necessary to build the student base for that 200 kids.
So let me explain the thought. We heard you, and so we have put aside building our own virtual academy to give us time throughout this year to make that happen. This is for really, we're gonna try to pull as many students as we can from all those same places that we're talking about, but we also know that we have a population of students right now who are virtual. We're gonna tell them, you're coming back, right? But we know that there are gonna be some kids who want to have a virtual platform still. They're doing well, their families want them to do that. So this would be that opportunity for those students, as well as trying to see how many kids can we pull back in. And so this is what do you call, stopgap, it's like to allow us a year to really prepare and get ready to try to open that one where we would have, what we're hoping to have is like one of the locations on Main Street, and to, really hit it hard and have our kids. So we're really looking at this as an opportunity to, see the goods and bads, what would we do different? So that's why, and the price is not outrageous, so we can use our ESSER money. And we just felt like something along these lines, but for the kids who do take part in it next year, they will still be Trotwood, students. They will get the Trotwood diploma. But we're anticipating, like you said, taking our time and making it as close to excellent as we can. We want it, the one that we open ourselves, we want it to be excellent. So that's what this is.
I just have one comment, and then we'll go to Ms. Moore. So the person that we're talking about, have they been successful? I know you said they work with other districts, but what is their, I guess, reputation or success rate with other districts? And have they been successful? And if,
Right, and so what we've asked him for is a list of those. We had our first meeting, I think, on Tuesday with him. We have another meeting tomorrow, and we're researching that.
Okay.
What do the other districts say? Looking at his platform and seeing everything that he can offer, it looks good, and we were very clear. Our intention is to do our own, and he's seen how we've done our landing pages and everything, and he feels that within a year we'll be able to build the capacity and knowledge of online learning to do it. However, we did ask him those questions, and we will be contacting other districts and finding out, how did you use the Future Ed company, and how did it work out for you? Because he's got some that he's been with for many years.
And I have one thing that I thought was really, for me, it was like, okay, we need to continue to research. It was very legit. For high school students, you only pay on the days they come. You only pay when because they know that oftentimes high school students may be working or have other things going on. And so it's not like we're gonna be tied into, we have 50 high school students, but for whatever reason, they don't come every day. We're not being, we don't pay for that. Now with the younger students, where the parents get them there and that type of thing, then there is a set amount in his plan, that you pay per day, because they feel like you have more control over that. But I thought that was, most people are gonna probably say, well, for all your kids, it's this amount of money each day, whether they come in or whether they don't. But to that point, they wanna make the money. So the two positions that would go along with this particular organization are those mentors.
Yes, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So he has a staff of certified teachers who have experience that service students. But one thing we will hire is our own mentor coaches for our students. And what that looks like is maybe one person K-5, one person 6-12, that will monitor the progress of our students, make sure they're successful. If they're not, they may have a coaching time on site in an office within our facilities to come on site, parent meetings, home visits. Hey, you haven't logged in, you're getting behind on your classes. That's one of the key components, he said. We were saying, well, what districts have been most successful and which ones haven't? He said, our mentor coaches is gonna be the key. And we know that from online learning anyway, making sure everyone's engaged, all the kids are understanding and have the supports. Someone who could set up the tutoring, set up the interventions, let us know if anyone's struggling, and really have a success plan for all of those kids as well. So he said he will work with us even on sitting on the interview panel and everything, knowing the types of people who've been very successful in the other districts. So that Dr. Cosby's right, there will be 2 staff members that we'll be hiring.
But that's in the cost for those staff members is in addition to the cost to actually facilitate the the 500, that's in addition to the 500,000.
Yes. So depending upon their salaries, it could take that up. Well, what we have asked for is $150,000, but that would include benefits and everything.
And that would still come out of the ESSER two funding.
ESSER two
Right.
funding, yes.
Ms. Moore, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just need clarification, and you guys, I hope this doesn't sound like a crazy, dumb question. However, what we're doing with this RAM Virtual Academy, this is a whole new school, correct? So all the students that we currently have virtual, do they roll into the RAM Academy?
No.
Or do we, okay, we keep what we have, virtual Trotwood, correct?
No.
That is.
Okay,
yeah.
help me out with it, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But thanks, that's a great question. The RAM Virtual Academy is a new school that will have an application process. We're really seeking new students that are part of other virtual academies, maybe charters, to bring into the district. We recognize that because we've gone through this year of COVID, there may be some families that they know their child's learning style and maybe it fits. They'll also be able to apply to attend the virtual academy, but our intentions are our students will be back in all face-to-face and, you know, getting the quality instruction within our brick and mortar. And this will be a new population that we're welcoming in to offer this virtual learning service.
Okay, so if our kids don't want to come back in, then do they apply for this
Yes,
new virtual
they're
academy?
welcome. Yep, those families will be encouraged to apply. If the, you know, parents say, you know, I would like my child to continue online, they'll be able to apply as well.
And why
So
would
we're
this-
really 100% in-person learning. I mean, that's what our model is going to be. And then if you want to be virtual, you go to this new school,
That is correct.
which is our RAM Virtual Academy,
That
correct?
is correct.
So, question, how many students do we currently have that are virtual?
Right now, we have 879 that are still at home. And I know that number because, as you know, this is testing season, and that's how many we literally have to bring in to test.
Okay, so when I'm looking at the proposal on the, I don't know what column it is, it's like the last column, it says $700,000 profit with 200 students. So
So,
can you elaborate on that? Because the
Yes.
program costs $500,000, but it's $700,000 profit with 200 students.
Yes, we were estimating about $7,000 a child that we're bringing in new money, which would be approximately 1.4 million, and then deduct the cost, which is an approximate 700,000 profit that would be left once we paid it out. It's between 600,000 and 700,000. And that's
Okay.
with the 200 students being new to the district.
Okay, so what you're saying is if the 800 students that are currently virtual decide we're just gonna go to the new academy, we still need 200 more to really realize the profit, correct?
Right, and that's assuming that, I'm not sure if the 800 that are virtual now will, I think most of them will most likely come back. I think because we're in the middle of the year and some families may have thought it was more convenient or whatever, that may be why they opted to stay virtual. We're hoping that we can absorb those 800 or so to come back in person.
and another piece of that is the reason that we're having them do an application versus right now, if you know, they just stay home if they want to stay home. They had that option, and that was because our primary concern when we started all of this was their safety. The reason we're feeling we're coming back 100%, unless something major happens in the world, we're going to be safe. We're going to be vaccinated. We're going to be safe. And we're hoping to encourage our community to understand that. So if we have a student who is at home right now, but they're not doing well, and they, you know, they don't even show up, and they're having lots of issues, we would not accept their application. We would say, no, you have to come back into school. That way we can monitor and have some impact on their education. So everybody wouldn't just get to say, I'm not coming. There are parents who, if their kids are doing well, they like that program, whatever, then yes, they would, I'm sure get the opportunity to go. That's the kind of student that we're gonna try to address with the virtual academy versus being in
Okay.
that building.
That was my
Well, what if they say, I want to be virtual, they submit their application, we say no, do we lose that student as a Trotwood student altogether, we turn them away?
I would think that with conversations with their parents, I mean, it's more than just, you know what I mean? We wouldn't just say no. We would pull in that family and talk to them about why we think that it would be a benefit for their student to come to school.
Yeah, and I guess my question is, if they still opt out, what happens next?
We would have to discuss that. We really had not, thought about that.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because, when I hear, I'm happy, I hear the presentation, I hear what we're doing, but I think we probably need to craft something on that end, because the goal would not be to lose students, regardless. We would just have to somehow accommodate them where they're gonna be able to be successful. So I don't want the communication to be either or, you do this or you can't come here, because we won't accept your application, and we don't want to lose them. So I think that's a part that we've crafted this virtual academy, and we've crafted this initiative. We need to craft the other side of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What I would like to know, what are some of those schools that this person is currently working with? You mentioned that the person referenced that he or she is currently working with schools. Do you know the names of any of those schools? Because I would like to see what is the
and
success
that's what
and what
he'll
it
be.
looks like.
And that's what we're getting tomorrow with the next listing, so that we can contact those districts. We're still researching that. I know one school that he worked with and knows people, it's Reynoldsburg. Off the top of my head, he named some others, I can't remember them all, but that's one of our to-dos. One thing we're gonna look at is more information behind the scenes of the teaching models and things that they use, and make sure it's aligned to what we do. And another step is reaching out to those districts that he's currently had a relationship for many years.
Yeah,
But
and I guess
we're
the
still
other thing,
working on that.
with that information, so if he's been, if that person has been at Reynoldsburg virtually for 2-3 years, then there should be data, right?
Right.
You can pull up the report card, right?
Definitely.
So that would be my expectation of validating the credibility and the success rate of the consultant or.
Yes.
And Lisa, I'm sorry, are there any other organizations that can do this type of work, just in case he doesn't work out?
We do plan to, look at 2 to 3 other companies. This was the first one that we were able to, and they actually have some of the better pricing. But we're definitely gonna research and compare around, because as we make the decision.
Mr.
Yeah.
Andrews, you have a comment?
I think that's gonna be important, and I think even before we make the decision, it might be wise to talk to the 2 other vendors. I know that Ms. Jeter Freeman always says anything is negotiable.
Yes.
If we're talking pricing that's way out of line.
Right.
But looking at success rate, looking at data, and looking at history, all of those things, I would just hate that we only talk to one person and then just go with the one person and not at least consider what other folks might have to offer
Yes,
as well.
We'll definitely research the other companies as well.
Mr. Andrews, you had a comment?
Well, I think the concerns I had about it have kind of been addressed, but I did want to kind of follow up on what Ms. Moore had requested. And hopefully, we will be able to develop some type of a virtual curriculum for students who maybe are not progressing as we'd like, but are still not particularly enthused about coming back in person. So I'm thinking that what we need to maybe look at is some type of a remedial curriculum to kind of assess where they are and then try to meet them there and pull them forward if they're going to persist in staying with the virtual option. But in conjunction with that, I think we need to have some type of a actual structured, for lack of a better term, say package of compelling reasons why students who are not doing well need to come back to kind of really try to really encourage them to get back here in person.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to be looking at what kind of reasons, trying to anticipate as much as we can, what kind of reasons people would have for not wanting a student who is not doing well to continue to not attend in person. And we need to kind of be prepared to be able to address those kind of concerns or needs.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank
Scarce.
you. Yeah.
I still feel like we're fishing without any bait. You know, the 200 kids that we, propose would be a part of this virtual academy is wonderful. But if we don't get 200 kids, then we've spent $500,000 on a plan that hasn't been able to come to fruition. I would rather us take the time to build the student base that we know is going to participate in the virtual academy, even if we, and I get using the vendor for the first year and then going our way, doing our own thing the second year, but even if we waited an entire school year to build a student base of 200 kids that we know are going to be interested, because we're putting it out there, we're not necessarily letting our kids who are virtual participate because we want them back in the building, and we're still betting on, well, there's 200 kids out there without any real plan on how to go after these 200 kids. I would prefer us just take the necessary time, get as much publicity, PR as humanly possible, because people don't start to get it until they get tired of hearing it, and just take the entire year and say, we got a virtual academy coming, this is coming, this is coming. Send out the applications, get the enrollment up, and that way we can build on top of what we already know there is a need for. This is a shot in the dark for us. We want to do it because we think it's a good idea, but we still don't want to take the death of the river with both feet out. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Like, we have to just, for me, we just have to build the base first. I don't know.
I guess I don't know that we need a whole year for the base. And the only reason I'm saying this, Mr. Scarce, is, you heard me complaining when I came in here about how I've been in these meetings all day, and I just left a meeting before I came in here for my day job. And what they were telling us is that they were banking on us going back in the classroom. And they were saying that we were gonna have, I guess maybe like a third of them were gonna be online, a third maybe blended, and a third face-to-face. Students aren't signing up for face-to-face. Students are signing up for online because they have found out that it works better with their life, and before they were kind of scared of online because they were like, I don't know, I need a teacher, that because you're so used to this structure that you've had since first grade. And they were like, I'm scared of it, I don't want to do it. And then when they were forced to do it, just like we were forced to do it, they found out, oh my gosh, I like it and I'm actually good at this. And so we can't even get students to sign up for face-to-face classes. And so we're to the point now where we're like rationing out 2 classes per each full-time, face-to-face classes per each full-time employee in my department, because we want people on campus, and so it's a push, not even a push, it's a push-pull drag to get students to come back into the classroom. And so I think we need to strike while the iron is hot, actually. And I think waiting a year is gonna cool down. And so I'm wondering if we need to do more of it seems like we need to just do more of a, I understand what you're saying and I agree with it, but I think it needs to be now. I don't think it needs to be something we wait a year on.
Well, one,
I feel like we can do
Yeah.
some kind of something to get in 200 students who
Yeah.
want to come
well,
and start in
and one thing to
August.
put your mind at ease, because I'm with you. There's no way I want to invest, or we should invest $500,000 and take a loss because we don't get the 200.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between this organization, and he said it multiple times, is he's only billing us for the number of kids we have. It's not and you're right, most other companies are gonna say you have to purchase so many seats, and it's up to you to fill up those seats. He only bills us for the number enrolled. So if we only have 50 kids enrolled, that's what we pay for, which you know, that'll be substantially less than what we budgeted.
Right.
I just went on the high end thinking we could get
Sure.
200, but what if we only get 100? We pay for 100.
Right.
Okay, well, that
If-
makes, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So hopefully that makes us feel a little better.
Yeah.
Now, the other companies don't bill that way, but we're still gonna research. But that's the difference between his.
Okay.
And if a kid is enrolled, they enroll, and they're only with us for 45 days because they realize, oh, this online isn't for me, and then we transition them into our brick and mortar face-to-face, we don't lose anything.
Okay.
I mean, thank you, because that makes me feel a lot better. I mean, how soon can we get the applications out? How soon can we?
And that's the
Right.
next step,
You know,
right? That's right.
How soon can we start,
Tomorrow's Friday, Monday.
We're gonna talk to him tomorrow, right?
Serious too. We just wanted the confirmation here tonight.
Yeah.
and,
I would want to
we're
see,
ready.
I would want to see you on all the major news stations doing press conferences about, what we're offering that no other district in our area is offering. All social media outlets, sending mailers to all of our families, even mailers to our competition's families, so they know that we're serious about it. I mean, I just overload for me, overload.
We've already pulled all that.
Okay.
Yeah, I
And-
think it's
and
great.
One other question, and what I'd also like to see, I'd like to see it fleshed out where what we would do with those students who they don't want to come in person, but again, their applications are to the point where they really need this extra interventions. I'd like to know, again, how we're going to handle or work with those students. I just don't want to lose any students, and that's my point,
Right.
Mr. Andrews,
regardless.
you had a comment?
Yes. If we're gonna try to get this up and running before a year, and I understand why, I think that my worry would be if we waited a year, someone that maybe we would have been able to bring in would have committed somewhere else and be more comfortable just staying as opposed to coming back kind of thing. But are we, as we try to get this together, are we going to dedicate time or personnel specifically to work on this and get this organized? Because as we get ready to put it out and things, we do want it to be solid, so that whatever kinds of questions might come up, we have answers or means to address those, as opposed to I'll get back to you or let me find out. But we should be fully prepared to a point that it's as if we are already working the virtual academy, and then people are asking and we're just fitting them
Giving them
into the position and things.
Yes, we will do that. I think once we make a determination, who we're going with, the first hires would be those virtual academy mentors. They do get trained by them and also through us. And so, but we have staff already here that we will go on. I will designate who will be over this and we'll get it going.
But, and I guess, in addition to that, though, that we have the program, we really have a solid plan and everything on how we're gonna do this and curriculum and all of those things in place, so that when we get ready to start promoting this and people wanna ask, they'll be able to find specific answers of what it is that they typically be asking about such a program. Does that make sense?
Yes.
one last question. For the current vendor you're looking at, is this a full day or is it a half day? So assuming it's the full day of classes for students, as if they were in person, right?
Yes, it is a full curriculum, full day services. And they're experts in the online, so the asynchronous, the synchronous, where they're interacting with the students, they have a variety of things. One thing we did say that we wanted, especially for our grades 6 through 12, that because we want our students to still develop all their 21st century skills, that we wanted at least a monthly project-based assignments where they're having to collaborate with their peers, and that could be done virtually, as we know, so that it's not all independent, that they're graduating with all of those multiple skills of being able to communicate globally and work collaboratively with people. So it's a variety of things that we've talked to the company about, making sure it's embedded into the child's learning experience.
The last thing I'll add is I really love to plan out stuff. So if we know that our goal is to only use this vendor for the first year, like starting now, we need to be building whatever it looks like for us for year 2, to be ready to kick them to the curb, so we can facilitate it ourselves. And I would like to know, once those numbers are ready, what it cost us to run the program using them versus what it would cost us. Because it may be beneficial that we just
go ahead and
can
stay with
keep
them.
using them.
Yeah, right,
So
We were gonna hire 10
understand
staff members.
Oh.
So if you add that up, we're paying less for this.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it might be better to stay, see, yeah.
And especially since we're building it and learning it, this gives us a whole year to, and he works as a consultant for companies developing their own, so he said he'll guide us through the process, but this will be a savings initially.
Okay, so, sorry, I lied. So my last question is, so if it was our intention to have a dedicated space on Main Street for the virtual academy, since we're not gonna do that this first year, what does that space look like that we've dedicated in the district for those?
The two
We'll
staff
just need the two
members.
staff members having space.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so we'll find space for them.
Okay.
President Moore, President Bozeman, I keep saying. I just wanted to say that we are using federal dollars, and so when you use federal dollars and you spend over $250, there's a process that we will follow. It's not just this, we're talking to this first company, but there's a process to vet 2 more companies. So I just want to put it out there so that everybody understands that we're talking to this first company, but there is a process to vet other companies
Absolutely,
before
thank
we
you,
make that decision in terms of spending that type of money
Thank
because
you.
of federal dollars.
for sure. Anything else? All right, perfect, thank you.
Okay, as we move through this proposal, I know I sent it to you, and so some of the things that you had concerns about, I believe we addressed in the staffing component, but if you have any questions, I will answer those.
My only question, and it really is kind of in general, is the sustainability of some of the initiatives after the ESSER money has been depleted. Things that I feel like, are important. How do we facilitate those things, after there is no more money for it?
Right. Well, that is something that we will have to make a determination on, which things are we gonna prioritize as things that we really want to try to sustain. Regardless, so there will be other grants and things like that that we can apply for as we realize this money is going away for those things that we really want to maintain. Some of the positions that we have, they are so important now, and I believe the reason that we've gotten all this federal money is to allow us to bring our students back up. And we know that that's gonna be a process that takes some years, but we're hoping that we do get to the point. I know that a lot of times we look around at other districts and they have positions that we don't have, or that we have some that they don't. But what we're trying to do is get our students and our staff back up to that level where we won't need all of these supports necessarily. And if we do, then we will, you know, search out grants, we'll find ways to keep those things that we need.
I have one on the curriculum, the middle school math intervention. It says math 180 or other. My first question is, since all of our schools are in need of math intervention, why did we only target the middle school?
We have an intervention program curriculum for the K-5, and the high school also has one. The middle school has a special need for theirs, and there's a gap in that curriculum because of what the data shows. So we know we need to put something in there for their Tier 3 intervention.
And I guess that's what I'm saying. So
we have resources that are adopted that have been approved for the other grade levels.
okay, but if the data is showing we're not moving the marker, do we need additional interventions? Do we need additional intervention specialists to pull students out?
Yeah, and we are hiring additional. We do have in the proposal.
And I saw those, but I didn't, I guess, and I don't know, I'm just asking, is there a need? You know, because the money is there. So when I'm thinking direct impact to student achievement,
Yeah,
it's like if we need maybe 2 intervention specialists.
well,
You know,
what we
I
have,
want to make sure we're saturated, that
Okay.
We have what we need for the students during the day.
yes,
Like if there are 3 students in the class struggling, and I understand we have some intervention specialists, but did we have enough even for virtual? Would it help if we had 2? We had 1 to pull out for, and I'm just asking because the funds are here.
yeah,
So for me, if we're gonna, where I wanna err on the side of extra, it is into those additional supports to help students get ahead, to get on target.
yes. We've added extra staffing to provide interventions across the board at all buildings, and I'm glad you asked that question because equity and making sure all buildings have extra supports is something that we're definitely working on. And working with our multi-tiers of support systems, there's strategic decision rules that when a kid's at a certain level, they are automatically provided this as part of their learning plan. And what the resources we've identified with people, human resources, and curricular materials, software is aligned to that. But you're right, if we feel there's an area where there should be more, then obviously we can revise the plan and add to it. Right now, this is, according to the data we have, what we need in each building or across the district.
Because I didn't understand either we have the 4 intervention specialists. Are these additional? Are these where we're going to use this funding to pay for the current existing ones? So are those additional? And then the follow-on question was, what's the difference between those specialists and the 4 content intervention teachers that are lab?
Oh, okay, we have intervention teachers who are designed to provide extra support to students needing the help that are below level.
Right.
Does not matter if they have identified for special education. Then we have intervention specialists in order to align all of our special education programming. We wanted to make sure across the board as kids move from building to building, everyone has equal services. So the 4 intervention specialists listed there are part of providing that consistent special education services across the board. And then we have intervention teachers that we've added to buildings, reading specialists and math specialists to help close the gap for those students that are below level in reading or math and may need that targeted Tier 3 instruction and support.
Okay, so it goes back to the same question. For those content areas, reading and math were identified. I also know we're kind of behind in science. And I think even virtually, we didn't get enough time for maybe science. And we have two at the high school, one at Madison Park, one at the ELC. And is that, do we not have the others identified, middle school in Westbrook, because they already have them?
Yes, we provided, and you all may remember last year, we provided 2 intervention lab teachers for reading and math at Westbrook, and the middle school also has them as well,
Okay.
already have them.
Okay, so I had, and this may be a repeat, I don't know, so like understaffing where it has the 8 student encouragers, the 5 parent engagers, are we just transferring how those positions are funded? Or is this in addition to what we already have?
We're
Mm-hmm.
transferring
the
how,
money
Okay.
for that, the one parent engager at Madison Park, there's not a parent engager there presently, so we are adding a parent engager at Madison Park.
Okay, and then for the one-on-one tutoring, the only reason that kind of sticks out to me, because when we had a massive discussion here a few weeks ago about tutoring, we couldn't find organizations to give the money to. And now we're allotting $200,000 for one-on-one tutoring, and I just want to know, has something changed? Or has there been a plan formulated that answers the questions that we had just, last month in regards to tutoring?
yes, one thing we've done with our applications for summer school is we've put on there if a parent would like one-on-one tutoring. So we're soliciting feedback from our families to see who would like it. We also plan to continue that one-on-one tutoring throughout the year. And so if they're so far, most of the organizations we've reached out to are doing it free of charge. It's like a community service thing. However, this money is allocated so that if we do have a group of tutors that we need to pay, it's there. We wanted to make sure it's there. We do have it listed on our applications for summer programming, so in about a week from now, we'll know exactly how many families signed up for that specifically. But we definitely wanted to put money aside for it, just so we're prepared.
How will the summer school, because I keep here, and I could be understanding wrong. How many students, will we have our students for summer school in-house here? Or are we referring them out to different places to
No,
say,
we're
you can
having-
go here and you can go here?
We'll have summer school on site, face-to-face, in 3 different locations: Madison Park, Westbrook Village, and the high school. The high school will house grades 6 through 12. And Madison Park and Westbrook will both house kindergarten through 5th grade, but we're differentiating we're placing them in each building based on the needs, because there'll be targeted specific instruction for each individual kid according to their learning plan, and that's why we have it separate. And that's a new thing because we're opening up to everyone, so we're hoping to get many more students who respond. So we're looking to those applications coming in. Another thing that's different is we've never offered a preschool, I guess I call it kindergarten readiness course. And so we have several families have already reached out who have 4-year-olds getting ready to go to kindergarten or turning 5, going to kindergarten, who are signing up. Those are new enrollees, and so we're excited about that. And that will be new. We know, as you know, increase the kindergarten readiness scores. So that'll give 4 weeks, 20 days worth of work there. Another thing we've done, and you talk about outside, some of our students will be serviced outside. We recognize that some of our families have already signed them up for local camps in the community. So we have a coalition we're starting called Accelerate the Learning in Trotwood, where we've invited our camps and preschool centers that service our students to work with us, and we'll provide free training, free resources, access to technology, to make sure they know our students' individual plans of where Johnny is and what's his reading level and what he needs and math level and what he needs. And these are some activities to do daily for about 20 to 30 minutes a day to bring them up. So it's both.
Also, do you want to hear a little bit more about summer school while we're having this conversation? Because either we're going to do it then.
Yeah,
or
we can go ahead, yeah.
Do you mind,
No.
would you like, we can go on and elaborate
Yeah.
on, so for the high school, I'll get started, you jump in. How about
Okay,
that?
sounds good.
Okay, because this one's really exciting to me. Typically, when we have summer school at the high school, we just have credit recovery. So you failed something, you go back and you can, recover that credit. And to extend our learning for that full month for all of our students, what we're going to offer are some courses to our high school students, even if they've passed. So let's say you made a D and you need to take social studies. You don't need to, you pass, so you would have the credit. But we want us to start thinking about being excellent, as you said. We want us to start thinking, like, how can I improve my grade? So we're going to offer courses that we know we need to entice them to come. So for example, for social studies, we may call it social justice class. It's so important right now going on in the world that we think kids may say, okay, I could bring my grade up and I could, get involved in this, and then they may participate. Creative writing class. Now, the teachers will be teaching the essential standards. Those things that, as we talked about, they may have missed first quarter, will be embedded in this month-long school for our high school students. So we're real excited about it. As I told you when we left the last meeting, I said, to make a change like that and encourage more staff to be involved, that I really wanted to connect with our union, and we did that, and they're excited about that as well. And so we're going to really push this for our high school students. I'm super excited about it. I mean, because I think that's one place where typically students who wants to go to summer school from back in the day, that means that you're not being successful. We want to change that attitude about it and say, I can do better, and get our kids to come in. So that's definitely a way that we're wanting to extend the learning. And again, every student will be encouraged to come. And of course, we don't know if they will. And so, of course, we have to
I need,
get
as a
them
point of clarification, because I need to make sure Mr. Bozeman is, I need to make sure in my household we're clear. Did you say they could bring their grade up?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Now we gotta work with, we gotta work, with this idea and still solidify it. But that's a carrot
Okay,
to get them
all
in.
right.
And the goal is, so they'd have to test and show that now they have mastered those standards, because that's what it's all about. Not when you do it, not anything like that. Do you master the standard? If they do, then we can pull that grade up.
Okay, well, all right.
So
And we're hoping to have parents like you that will say, get in there and pull that grade up.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
Call
No,
Mr. Andrews.
Somewhere on the horizon, is it possible that during the summer, you might also be able to offer electives or some kind of accelerated option for students?
That's a part of what we're talking about in our plan. It is the 4 cores: math, English, social studies, and science. And again, they will have cool names and do some things a little differently. But we're also hoping to do STEM, music, art, careers. And why I say hoping to is we're going to put that out there for staff. And, we're going to, get our kids. If we have the kids that want to do it, we will find the staff that will participate. But yes, so we are hoping to also do electives.
And one thing, I'm glad you mentioned accelerate, and Dr. Cosby's right. We're going to offer enrichment activities all the way up to through 12th grade. And one thing we're doing differently this year that we're excited about is we have the software resources where each child with a pretest, we can customize the work exactly for them. So let's say a child's registered and they're high in math and low in reading. they're gonna get accelerated work in math. And then they're gonna get work to help bring them up in reading. So that's why we say we're truly accelerating everyone. So anyone, if we have some of our gifted and talented students that come in and their parents want them to just move forward, if there's any kids that are struggling, it's gonna be customized for them. So we also thank you, Dr. Cosby, for sharing the high school. And as you all know, as I explained earlier, we've got the solid, customized, differentiated programming for the traditional 8:30 to 3 for our K-5 students. We have we're excited about our middle school program for grades 6 through 8 as well. Something else that's new that we're doing this year is actually providing 2 transition programs. We know what the research shows about freshmen and their success. A lot of times their suspension rate may be high and they struggle with grades. So this year there's going to be a freshman academy for a week to orientate them into the high school prior to the school year starting. We'll have a rising 6th grade academy for those leaving the K-5 environment, going to middle school, and we're excited about that. And there are going to be targeted activities to help them be even better prepared for success. And we also have, as you heard before, a coalition of women in STEM that are going to come in and work with our girls grades 4 through 8, doing workshop activities with STEM and several other enrichment information that we can share even further along as it's solidified. We have a leadership academy of future principals that will be running the program and getting experience, so we're kind of building capacity on that way too, since we're bringing in so many kids.
I like that, and you must have read my mind because I was just about to ask you about the freshman academy, because I know that at my daughter's school, she would do the freshman academy for her school the week, and I think it was maybe a couple of weeks before
Yes.
the 8th graders went to the high school. They had that time. So thank you. And I also like the idea that we're also including the 6th graders.
Yes, yes.
It makes them feel special, like they're
Right.
going to another, you know, like a ceremony or something.
They get T-shirts and gear too.
Okay.
So are we providing, like, transportation and all that?
Oh, yeah.
We're making sure that we can get them there?
Transportation, meals, they're all ready to go.
It's school, you're coming to
Lunch,
school.
right.
You're coming to school.
Coming to
And if
school.
we probably throw in there a few Chick-fil-A days and
Ooh,
pizza days,
Yes.
and
They
they know
definitely
it's a
show up.
Chick-fil-A day,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
by any means necessary.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Before I can echo?
And just so the extension, we're thinking, I'm trying to look and see how long we're extending all of this stuff, so.
Summer school goes until July 2nd, and it
Right,
starts.
yes, it goes through July 7th, and then you'll see those academies
Yeah, they
are
pick
gonna
up.
be closer to the school year, July 26th through 29th, so there'll be a lot of different activities. You'll see the freshman academy and the middle school, getting ready for middle school academy later in July, and then we always do summer testing, and that'll be in the middle of July. So although the formal programming will end, we'll still have kids coming and going with other activities.
What is the actual dates for summer school?
June 7th through July 2nd?
Yes.
June 7th through July 2nd.
June 7th through July 7th, and then so are you, let me make sure I understand, then they get further enrichment after that, you're saying, too?
The freshman academy is gonna be July 26th.
Yeah.
And the middle school, getting ready for middle school is that
Yeah.
same week. And like Mrs. Freeman explained, it's great to do it a little bit closer to the school year, those academies.
And then it's almost time to come back to school.
And then it's time, right. It's time to come home.
So forget the summer slide, because you've been in school.
And then today, you'll get a kick out of this, the librarian, the Trotwood librarian, she's willing to have all of the summer reading books and do the summer read activities aligned to our curriculum for all of our English language arts teachers.
Wow.
So when they go to the library, they're gonna be hit with, hey, here's your books to read, so.
It's a great opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Minor. So we're through the curriculum and staffing portions. I know we covered the top two on operations. If you have any questions on that. And then we also have our student support services. And I know one of the questions came up about flexible seating, and I gave you a little handout at the table about flexible seating. Ms. Mallory pulled that together. She's a proponent of that. And I don't know if she wanted to add anything. Anybody have any questions of her?
What do we do with the old seating?
Good question.
Trash. Trash.
Donate it, maybe use it in a virtual academy if we need to.
So are these for, will be available for all buildings? So we really wouldn't know what the costs would range, right? Because,
Well, this makes it appear as though we're just changing out everything in every building.
No, those just pictures so you could see.
No, not this.
Oh.
I mean, this here.
you mean the cost?
Yeah, the cost.
And that's,
Okay.
And one thing we did on the document, we put estimated cost at the top. So really, these are estimated costs, so we may or may not spend $100,000, we may spend $15,000, because the need isn't, and I'm sure I'm just making an example of that line. So I'm just saying, this is estimated cost, and we're not sure
We professionals at not
exactly.
spending money.
What you say?
We spend money well here in Trotwood-Madison.
I know that, I didn't think that seating made that big of a difference, but it really does. You know, some students like to be off alone, and that gives them an opportunity to kind of go where they need to go and focus and pull themselves together and come back with the group, and especially with laptops and everything now. So again, we're back to remembering that school is not necessarily the same as it was when I was in school, you know, so the roles and everything it's not really like that anymore, so we have to kind of think of things a little bit differently.
Y'all have desks back then?
Huh? No, we didn't have desks. We had to get our rocks, these big boulders we'd pull out. We would have boulders that we would sit
Sorry,
behind,
I'm sorry, Ms.
and a thing you would, like, that's how you wrote with, like this, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
and that would be the same for the district field trips, so that would be each principal deciding,
So they have some money allocated, for, of course, for their own kind of specific school field trips, but I was thinking more along the field trips that I would think all students should be able to attend. Like, at some point, I think all of our students should visit the African American Museum in Cincinnati, and, you know what I mean? So I just feel like if it's, I hate to use the word mandated, but if it's a district field trip, then it would come out of our budget versus the school's budget, if that makes sense.
We're out of their pocket.
Well, yeah, and with us trying to move toward having African-American history, you know, thread, then we would definitely,
That all of our students
yeah, we would need to have that in there.
That's what we say we wanted to focus on, opportunities and access for our
Yeah,
students. The equity piece is so important.
And I mean, I was just thinking about the chairs again, and I know I know we have some experts. The expert is not in the room, Marlon's not here, but I just know.
They're all at Westbrook, there's a lot at Westbrook and
But you know, but I just want to be mindful about the material because one of the things that we think about at work is the lice and the material, louse and the material. And so just kind of thinking, and then now that we have, you know, of course, COVID, but you know, just really being mindful of those things when you're picking chairs.
Yes.
You know, the high chairs and people putting their head back, you just, you know, just thinking about that stuff too. Not just lice, but bed bugs,
Yes.
all that stuff, all
Thank you
that.
for scaring us.
Welcome to my world. Welcome to my world. Welcome to my world. Just
But we
saying.
will definitely keep that in mind. Yes. Anything else?
And then when we think about the summer programming and we start to roll it out, we're just going. This is what's going out. Is it going to be like, hey, this is what you're just going to be doing, or it does? I'm glad it doesn't say that it's not.
Yeah, so we have advertised it, the Parent Square final forms and all of that. We've got a lot of parents that have already started responding. We're gonna update it with a lot of the new things that we're offering to the high school tomorrow.
Mhm.
And so we also, when Mrs. Jordan Isaac does her Sunday night calls, that has been very effective. Because it always generates a lot of activity, so we'll continue that. And like I said, our early learning center secretary called today and said multiple families that will be new coming into Trotwood because the word is out there of our letting younger kids in, have already started to pre-register to get in.
It really, see, I'm back on the high school changing your grade, bringing your grade thing up, because even when you think about students who want to go to college and maybe they didn't have a good, you know, first quarter due to COVID, I mean, this is a supreme opportunity to really change the game, you know, to come in here and you know, get your GPA up
Right.
and do, you know, really do
And I
something
think
different.
that realistically, that's the way we should be looking at assessment. You know, we've talked about that before. How are we going to ultimately assess our kids? And so this is a big step in saying, we want you to become excellent, to master this curriculum. If you do, you will get the reward
Absolutely.
for that.
And that's what it's about, you know, the learning part of it, you know, just coming in and not just, you know, just reading it and memorizing, but really real life stuff, like you're saying, you know, the stuff that they're seeing on TV now, and not just old school social studies, but actual, real social justice.
So how are we communicating that with the Bozeman parents?
Absolutely.
So that they know, is it a robocall, is it they log on and they see something, or is it that not for her son because he's good, but for those students that are behind, is it a parent engager calling a parent and saying, we're having summer school. We almost want to make this mandatory that there's an opportunity for your
Really
student
push
to get
this.
ahead.
Yeah,
But it's a personal phone call to the parents of those students that are behind to let them know, hey, they didn't miss it. They still have an opportunity to get back on track.
That's an excellent idea, and, you know, definitely, we can get that set up so that there are personal calls made to those students, particularly those who maybe made C's and D's, so they still got the credit, but they could do better. But we're planning, I mean, I'm really excited about it. We're planning to, you know, really get the word out there and encourage students to come, because I do think it may even change some of their minds about education.
Absolutely.
I'm excited
Absolutely.
about it.
Because some of them have thrown their hands up. They're like,
Right.
forget it. But
Right.
this is a chance to turn it around, you know?
So it'll be important, the teachers that get selected, you know, all of that, to teach the classes, that kind of thing. Because we want them to be feeling the same level of excitement and, you know, that type of thing. I'm very optimistic that we're gonna have a great summer.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Okay, so if we're through with this, ESSER funding proposal,
Just one thing.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the District Family Resource Center is.
okay, the district family resource is the space that we have here in the district. And we already have some things there, but what we want to make sure is that we keep it ready and available if someone were to call and need something from us. We're also, though, going to have services in our buildings as well. So we've allotted some money for each principal to be able to respond if they were to have an urgent need in their building. But these are things like having uniforms, having clothing, having, let's say somebody's electricity does go out and they don't, know what to do. They can, check into getting some money for those types of things. So we really wanted to sort of up the idea of providing resources for our students. That's what we were talking about with that. Anybody want to add into it? Because we've had lots of conversations about the difference, just like what you asked.
No, I like that conversation because, we're getting all of this money and we don't know what those impacts are. And we want to make it in a dignified way that they know that, we can provide those supports.
Right.
So.
And that's what
yeah.
we're planning to do with that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you ready for me to move on? So we will just sort of move forward with these things. And now I would like to go to the high school update. We have a location for graduation and a date. May 18th is going to be held at Wright State University. So as you'll remember, we were looking at the Dragon Field, and we were, of course, had the option of being here at Trotwood. Wright State is the one that's inside, but it's huge, so they could still get a lot of people, and parents were surveyed. They sent out a survey and the final decision ultimately came down to what the majority of the parents who responded said that they would like to do. And I understand that. You have a day, it can happen whether the weather is bad or not. So that's our graduation at this point. That is it. We're signing a contract, so that's what we're going to be doing. Student progress. Last time we spoke with Mr. McCray, he had told us that we were down to 62 students who were not on track, and today we're at 51 students who are not on track. So the number is going down. Tutoring, we have a lot of opportunities. I mean, we already talked about that. We're going to do the one-on-one, offer the one-on-one tutoring. We do have people who have said that, they're able to provide that. And it just depends on who signs up. I asked, did anybody else sign up beyond the last time he talked to us? And at that point, he said no. So that's why we're sort of more thinking in the summer that we may have some people who say they want it. But I think the students at the high school feel like they have this in control, and they're not, they were given the packets, those who, needed them, they were given the opportunity to participate. And at this point, he said there was no more who wanted to. So, district-wide tutoring and mentoring update. We've had a couple of really interesting opportunities. There's AKA sorority that is here in Trotwood. I met with two of the members, and they were wonderful. They work through committee, and they have two committees that are sort of spearheading their desire to work with us. So there's a committee on financial planning who want to come in and mentor students about how they use their money. They're willing to come in and do classes. They're willing to, maybe come in during a lunch break and talk to more students. But it was sort of to address those issues that we mentioned. I know Mr. Andrews has said something like credit card debt when you go to college, so to start those conversations and how to save your money even when you're working now as a high school student. And to start that, they're willing to come in as young as we would like them to. The second committee is all about getting into college, and so they would also help students look at what school is best for you. Are you a big school student? Are you a small school? Are you private or public? And how do you get the money for it? So again, the FAFSA, and they would talk to them about College Credit Plus, really encourage students to take advantage of that. Talk to students about well, the lady I talked to, Mrs. Littlejohn, she happens to work at Sinclair, but she talked about the advantage to doing 2 years at Sinclair for a lot of families and then going off to your 4th year. So they are really excited. They were gonna take back the things that we talked about wanting to their group, and they know, they feel very confident that they will have people who would be willing to work with their students, and they want to do this in the community. I also, today, well, Ms. Minor did mention it, but today we actually met with Marxent, Girls in STEM, and Marxent is the company that we talked about. They are still as excited as they were when I mentioned it last week, but we're just moving to the next step. They are going to participate in our June 4th through 18th, in that summer school piece where they're going to be doing STEM activities with the students, and we got a little bit more detail about what it's going to look like. So our students will learn coding, they'll learn how to make a bobblehead. They showed a lot of the activities that they had already selected, but so they're going to bring in like the Moxent group and train them on how to do this, but they said for them it'll be very easy because they know engineering and math and science, but they want to work with us beyond that as well. They, you know, we're talking about the possibility of internships and things like that with the company. They said that they're doing things now that people didn't even know about 10 years ago, and they think the students will be really excited to learn about their company and what they do and what they have to offer. Also today, I got a call, and I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just their time. but there is an opportunity out there working with P&G in Cincinnati, and it was so much. I just had to say that I was interested in being a part of a pilot program, and it talked about all the things we've been talking about, so I was okay with saying we are interested. But it's a pilot project where they want to get our students into a career path, teach them trades to work at P&G, and he named a couple of other businesses that are in our area, and they're working with 4 school districts. I think it's Northridge, Northmont, Vandalia, Butler, and us. They highlighted us because the person, I don't know if anyone knows Bob Sheehan, but he was raised here in Trotwood area. He just, when this came up, he thought of us, and so I have us, you know, working to get involved with that, and I will find out a lot more in the next 2 weeks. He said he will bring me details of what we talked about today, but he talked about the internships, the career planning, the starting now. We have juniors and seniors who could start working for them, making, you know, he said, I think 16 something an hour, and $16.40 an hour with benefits and moving up. And also they are gonna offer opportunities to other community members, so parents of our students and things like that. So it sounded really good to me, and I will have more details for you as time moves on, but I just wanted to share that with you.
He's an alum. His name does sound kind of sound.
Yeah, the name sounds very familiar. He
yeah.
told me he's been around a lot, and he mentioned all the different places he's been at. And so, yeah, you probably have heard the name or seen him, but yeah, he was real excited to work with us. I'm not sure if he was an alumni or he was raised
just
in
around
this
here,
area,
but the
he
name
said.
does sound kind of.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that is it for me, unless anyone has any question.
I do have just one more question. I don't know if it's a comment and a question. I'm so excited and happy about what I'm hearing now about the summer programming, because it sounds like it's not just a come if you want to kind of thing. It sounds like something that students are going to want to be a part of, and it really does sound like what we want, which is an extension of school. I just want to make sure that that students know. I feel like walking up and down the streets myself with like a sign that says like, "Hey, come to school," or whatever, you know, come.
And I think
But I don't
we're
even
about
know-
ready to try that, whatever it takes. I mean, by all means necessary. you know.
Yeah, a sandwich
Yeah,
board. I don't know what to even say, but it sounds great, but I don't even know what to say. I just don't want it to pass or, people to have, overlook it and not know that
We're gonna
what a
make sure
great
they know.
opportunity it is.
Yes.
So
Well,
are
the
these,
Social media,
are these
we-
flyers gonna go out on social media or?
Oh, yeah, all of this stuff is gonna go out. We, like I said, we're just
Yeah.
wanted to hear from you guys that you support it, and so we're on it.
Yeah. What about the Amazon? How is that one coming, that reached out to us?
We have the Amazon partnership, and what they're working with us on is our curriculum, because they're partnered with our middle school, and they're working with our STEM teacher and providing the curriculum. So she's now looking at the gaming and different things.
I don't think so.
And so they're on board,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like.
She's already got it.
Into next year with planning that.
Can we put that on our Facebook page? All of the things, so, just plaster it with things happening, kind of like what Mrs. Scarce was saying. Things happening, things coming, we have all these great things. It gets people excited. It rebrands us to
Right.
what we really are moving to, with, and pictures. We need pictures of all of the summer enrichment, all of the activities, the classes, and even talking about the sixth grade academy and the freshman academy.
Oh, yeah.
Those are new to Trotwood, so we have to have them out there, so, on social media. It's good we do the robocalls and all of that, but social media, people are looking and they're saying, okay, I didn't know they had that.
Yeah, and even us sharing it on our own pages
Right.
too
Yeah,
is helpful. And then we have the PR people, they can,
They're doing,
they need to get it.
they're on us, we give them this, that's what they want. They want information to plaster.
And I think the sooner the better, because we want to give people, we don't want folks to start planning vacations.
Right.
You know what I mean, so,
Right, for the summer school.
Right.
yeah. So we need the sooner the better on that one. And I didn't see on there that it said like transportation, that's why I was asking about it. I want to make sure that they know
Okay.
that it's definitely, you're getting picked up and brought in and.
It says transportation will be provided to students who are staying at the high school for the entire time, 8:30 to 12 or 8:30 to 3. It's like two, sessions, so they will get transportation. But we'll make sure that, like you said, that's a highlighted thing too, for people who have struggles with that.
Any other questions? Okay. All right. Looks like we're moving on to treasurer's comments.
Yes, I had a couple comments this evening. At our retreat, the financial retreat on March 27th, I have made some notes of things that you guys wanted us to bring forward. And one of those, board member Vanessa Freeman brought or asked about consultants. And I provided this in front of you, consultants for 2021. And we readily saw that the majority of the consulting services are legal companies, Bricker and Eckler, that does a lot of our legal consulting. Bill Lawson, we hired him this year to work with us with the grant piece, but particularly in the non-public sector. And we even talked about in our financial meeting this evening, that there were seemingly a lot more activity in the non-public outside of Mother Bruner. The Chaminade Juliennes, the St. Benedict's, the Holy Angels. So he is working with us in that area. I've mentioned K-12 business consultant, or Chris Moore. He helps us with the 5-year forecast. Pickrell, Schaefer, and Eberling, they do all of our Board of Revision hearings, and that's when any citizen in the city of Trotwood
goes downtown to Montgomery County and contests their property values. So they consult with us or actually go down to those meetings and represents the school district. We've talked about Ray and Associates. They're a legal firm as well, and they help us on the legal side with the Medicaid billing. Westward does the Medicaid billing, but we also have to have an attorney to do the legal work as it associated with Medicaid. This guy, Gregory S. Page, he was an appraiser, and he had to work with Pickerel, Schaefer, and Eberling this year for one of the cases that we were working on. And then, of course, it was a very small OSBA Legal Assistance Fund. So I wanted to just bring that back to say that we hadn't forgot, and I hadn't forgot. It's so funny, on here, I wrote, and I can't even read my writing on one thing, so, but there is another ES feeds analysis, and I think Board Member Freeman, you asked us about that. We will be putting that together as well. What I was speaking with Dr. Cosby today, to say that we need to put together 19, 20, and 21, and then you can see the difference of the services that we've had. And we have that, I just need to pull it together. So hopefully by the next meeting, I can bring that to you as well. And then there was a resolution that I won't bring until the June financial meeting, and that was the bond retirement that we talked about. And so if there's anything that I missed, I just had it in front of me on my desk to make sure that we presented or got the information that you asked us for at the board retreat.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next thing is I sent this out to your emails today, but I also wanted to speak on the April 15th today's date. I guess it's April 15th today. Treasurer's update. And so just a couple things. We've talked about a lot today about ESSER 2, and we had a very good process, and we did that on Wednesday. We had all the principals to come in, and the cabinet was there, and we actually went over staffing, all of their highlights on their budget forms, and then we just had a discussion to make sure that all the principals, what they had identified their needs were addressed. If they weren't, why? And so it was a really good, for me, a very good conversation back and forth to make sure that everybody's voices were heard, and not just one or two people, that everyone's voices were heard, and that everything that they wanted in their particular school buildings were either addressed from the general fund versus the ESSER 2. So I just wanted to let you know that. Also, we've been really working this week. Not that we don't work every week, but had to clean that one up. This week, we had a major conversion from the old state software to the new state software. So we were really, I was a little nervous, but I wanted to make sure that the treasurer staff was calm, and we went through the process. So we had lunch, we had all the sugar. I felt like I was just going crazy, but we had all this stuff to just keep everyone calm. I want to say, guys, that we did an outstanding job, and I had no doubt that we would not. We actually were able to release we were able to sign off to say we're ready to move forward and start using the brand new redesigned system. There was one little piece that we still have to work on, but overall, all of the data converted from the old system to the new system the way it was supposed to. So I did sign off up for that to say that they could go, we could proceed on to the new system. So we will be having training for the district in probably next couple weeks. The training, when I talk about training, it's to pull reports. So we call them budget summary reports or budget ledger reports. No one's going to be doing that right now. What we want them to focus on is to continue using, it's called SC View, and that's to put in the requisitions. And then, as I said, we will have training on that new system in the future. from a personal perspective, I will be sworn in as the Secretary Treasurer for OASBO on, at 8 o'clock on Monday, April 26th. And then I am also, it's the conference that week, and I have been asked to sit on a panel for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so, from my perspective, I'm just gonna speak about being one of the very few African-American treasurers in the state of Ohio. And I'm going to be pushing toward other, not just urban districts, but other districts to look at individuals of color so that they can get the same opportunities as everyone else. And so that's what, and I'm hoping I don't run off the audience, but I'm going to speak from my perspective. And so the other, and then at the bottom, there's a couple vacation dates on there, so I just want you to call your attention to that.
For sure.
So I put that also on the board docs, as well as if you wanted a hard copy. So I know President Bozeman, you can just leave your hard copy right
Absolutely.
there, and
Yeah.
we'll get it. But I did put it on the board docs.
Perfect.
Okay?
Thank you.
So that's what I had for this evening.
Thank you. Superintendent comments, Dr. Cosby?
She's always such a hard act to follow. I don't. maybe I
We should
go
flip it around.
first.
You wanna go
Exactly, yeah. But I did want to sort of piggyback on one of the things that she talked about, the meeting that we had where we brought in our principals and we talked about, you know, what they wanted. And the reason why we had some discussion and it was a little back and forth is because we've talked about this before, that whole transition every 2 years. We want to make it as seamless as possible. So you may hear some people say, well, I didn't get this, or I didn't want this, or something. But what we're trying to do, and equity doesn't mean it has to be the exact same. So you're going to see in some buildings, it's a little different here and a little different there. But when we talk about student services and what they need and all, it's important that that transition carries. So we are also a part of the Equity Leadership Institute, and we've been working with them, and they ultimately want us to develop a leadership or equity plan. And ours is basically, whenever we're doing things now, making major decisions, we want to look at it with an equity lens. So we want to ask those questions to assure that we're giving all of our students, you know, opportunity and access to be equitable. So just want you to know that sometimes, and you can always ask, but if sometimes even as you look at this and wonder, why is this here or not, we're trying to make sure all of our students can transition smoothly. I also wanted to let you know that Yolena Michaud, that's going to be my new assistant, my secretary, and she will start on Monday. She's very wonderful. I'm excited about you all meeting her because she'll be working with you as well. And so that will take place soon, my introduction to you all. Did want to say, okay, so I'm going to toot my horn a little bit. I know I told y'all that I went up to the State House and that I did, for the first time in person. I've sent letters before of advocacy, but I've never actually went and spoke. And just sort of to Janice's point, it's a little bit different when you're advocating for our district, you know, urban districts that have some of the needs that we do that other people, and particularly those people sitting in the room, don't have. So I was told I did a great job and that they really do need to hear it because the legislators don't always understand what it's like to have a tornado that may still have you out of your home. You know, the impact that a lot of things are having on our community. I know that I somewhat misspoke at the last meeting, and what we're talking about and what we want to do for that month is extend the learning for our children. And it is from, you know, when we get out of school in June until, you know, July, and then other things happening throughout the summer. Every student is involved. That's a major difference from what we've done ever before. Usually it's certain kids. High school is those who failed. Elementary is ones who've sort of been told, you need a little help, so come in and you can work on this. Every student will be encouraged, strongly encouraged. We're putting out reasons. It's more like, why wouldn't you come, would be the bigger question for this summer. So I just wanted to reiterate that we really are expanding this. That's it.
President, don't forget this. Oh, there was one other thing. About whenever, we just wanted to say that the information was not right, and she wanted to.
Right. When Ms. Minor came up and talked about the district leadership information at the board retreat that we had, well, I don't want to tell everything, but she did all of that in a very little amount of time because a lot of things were going on. And so what she had said that something had happened in DLT, but in fact it had happened at another meeting. So we do have the corrected document now. We would like to put that into our minutes. That's all I got.
Do we have any board committee reports? Okay, so board comments, Mr. Andrews?
I don't really have any, much commentary tonight. I think it was a productive meeting, and I'm kind of done.
Thank you. Ms. Jeter Freeman, comments?
Nothing tonight.
Okay. Ms. Moore, I guess she's gone. She just left us. She just
No,
popped
I'm
off.
still here.
We can't see your face at all. You were gone. Ms. Moore, do you have any comments?
No, I'm commented out. Thank you, though.
Mr. Scares, any comments?
Yes, first put that Ms. Moore's commented out in the minutes. One thing I wanted to bring to everybody's attention, there is a fellow pastor friend of mine, pastors in the city, and he has started the Ethel Hayes Destigmatization of Mental Health Scholarship. The deadline to apply is June 13th, 2021, and the winner will be announced July 13th. Right now, that scholarship is worth $6,411, and they can go to bold.org to apply. And to my knowledge, there's just an essay involved.
Do you have something that you give me?
Yes, I can give it to you. I'll send you this link.
Okay.
So that's that. Also, if there's anybody out there, we are going to participate and partner with the district for the Accelerate the Learning initiative through our summer camp. And we are looking for individuals who need something to do for the summer. For 11 weeks, we'll pay up to between $3,000 and $3,200 for camp counselors. So if there's anybody out there that's interested and needs something to do during the summer, we are extending those opportunities. We need 2 positions for those. And I think that's it.
Okay, Mr. Scares?
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Bozeman. I did have a comment.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and actually, it's a committee comment. The OSBA Black Caucus meeting will be open to anyone, basically, to join on April 17th, which is Saturday at 10 a.m. It's going to be an opportunity, basically, to go over professional development and training, that sort of thing, and also just bring everybody up to speed on what the caucus is doing. So wanted to share it with the board and our colleagues there, that if they are interested, I will send over the information to, I'll send over the information to you, Ms. Bozeman, and you can share it with the board, and also, I guess, maybe even the superintendent, if she's interested, can share it with her colleagues.
All right, thank you.
It's a Zoom meeting. Thank you.
And I guess I'm the last comment. I just want to say I'm definitely feeling the burn. I mean, because I told you I wasn't feeling the burn before as it related to what we were going to be doing for kids, but I am feeling it now that we do have, I think, a really great program going. I just want to make sure that when we send out the information that you said it is already going out, I just want to make sure that the parents know what it is and that it's and that that we're not using words like, optional, just put it out there. This is what we're doing, come on, that's it, I don't want to deter anyone, I don't want anyone to think that they shouldn't come. It's something that I would want everyone to participate in, and so I want to make sure that the words that we use are very inclusive and that everyone would want to participate in it, because when you mentioned the tornadoes and the after effects of that, we have people who are still, dealing with that, and then we're thinking about COVID and what students, how they learned or didn't learn during that first quarter or the first semester. I mean, everyone really does need to think about coming in, and so the words that we use to get them in are going to be important. So we need to make sure that the verbiage is on point with that. And I'm just so proud of you for advocating for, the report card and, I know that it's something that you're very passionate about, so I was really proud of you when you said they want you to come back. I was like, okay, yeah, great, that's good for you. Great news for you, great news for us. And I think that was it. I think that was all I had. Those are my main things. But, and the virtual academy, I mean, you guys jumped right on that, and so great news, great work, and I'm just so excited about where we're going. We're moving in the right direction. It really does feel like we are. And with that being said, I need a motion to adjourn into executive session where we're going to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual per BOE Policy 0166 and ORC 121.22G1.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Scares,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Judah Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
and Mrs.
Yes.
Bozeman.
Yes, motion carries. We'll be moving into executive session. No action will be taken. It is 7:45. You ready? Officially out of executive session, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any questions? Hearing none. Ms. Allen, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Scares,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews,
Yes.
Mrs. Jeter Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Moore. Ms. Moore?
You say yes.
Moving to adjourn.
Say yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Okay. And Ms., and Mrs. Bozeman?
Yes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
All right, have fun. I'll wait to
Enjoy
hear.
your painting.